no matter how fast, and Boone Pickens has alerted us to this, no matter how fast we transfer our energy production to renewables and alternatives, it's going to be a while before we can take most of our electricity and have it produced by renewables and alternatives. It's going to be a while, if ever. We can certainly do a significant chunk of it, maybe by as early as 2020, but it's going to be a while. Carol used the term that we're the Saudi Arabia of renewable energy, and that's true. God, just all of the landfills in America, and we're producing energy from landfill gases and methane from coal. There's so many things. But the big mother load is still coal. We are truly the Saudi Arabia of coal. You don't like burning coal because it produces so much harmful carbon emissions, no matter how much money we spend on scrubbing and scrubbing techniques. But if we could find a way to capture carbon during the production of coal energy and sequester carbon, and I know that's a big if, but if we could, it would unlock an energy source for this country that's ours, that comes from the ground, that produces literally millions of jobs across the length and breadth of America. Coal goes from Pennsylvania to West Virginia to Ohio to Illinois to Wyoming to Montana, all across this country. And we could truly become energy independent. Now, is that a stretch? Well, I've heard a lot of people smarter than I say that we ought to be able to do that the scientists of this world and the research in this world ought to be able to do that. And interestingly, the federal government under the Bush administration took a step towards doing that in a project called FutureGen. FutureGen was a competitive project, and the state of Illinois actually won the grant. So Senator Obama knows a lot about this. And then the Bush administration canceled FutureGen for monetary reasons. We're the only developed nation in the world that doesn't have a city-to-city high-speed rail system. It's a disgrace. In Europe, you can't get a flight that's under 500 miles because you're expected to take the train. And we should be here too. We should take that shuttle and put it out of business. Put it out of business. We have on the Amtrak line, the Acela, if we had the right type of track bed and electrification for the Acela, you could make New York to Washington in an hour and 35 minutes. Anybody here want to take the shuttle after that? Of course not. And getting rid of the shuttle is a bonanza for LaGuardia, Newark, Philadelphia, BWI. It relieves so much airport congestion. There's so many things that we can do with our infrastructure in the future to help build this green economy and green America.
Now, my simple argument is that the world's getting hot, flat, and crowded. Hot refers to global warming. I don't need to go into that here. Crowded refers to the fact that I was born in 1953. You go to Google, you can put in your birthday now, find out how many people were born the year, were on the earth the year you were born. I was born July 20, 1953. Google tells me there were 2.681 billion people on the planet the year I was born. There's 6.2 billion today. If I go to the UN population chart, go out to 2053, if I keep working out, eating yogurt, and live to be 100, it tells me there will be 9.2 billion people on the planet. That means in my lifetime alone, the population of this planet will have more than tripled, and more people will be born between now and when I die than were here when I was born. So the world's getting hot and crowded. It's also getting flat. Flat for me is simply a metaphor for the rise of middle classes all over the world, from Russia to Brazil, from India to China, who are producing and consuming like Americans. And so the world population is not only growing, but the much more relevant metric is the number of Americans, people consuming and producing like Americans, is growing even faster. And the energy and natural resource implications of that are enormous. Now you put all those together, hot, flat, and crowded. What you get, I believe, are three separate flames that have converged into a raging fire. And this fire is driving 5 global trends that I think are going to define the 21st century, or I should say how we and whether we meet these challenges will define the 21st century. They are, first of all, energy and natural resource supply and demand. That's the demand for food and fuel and cement and steel, water, and all forms of energy. It's going through the roof. Second is petro-dictatorship, the rise of the Irans, the Putins, the Ahmadinejads, the Chavezes, which are polluting and fundamentally transforming global geopolitics. Third is climate change. The fourth is something I call energy poverty. The 1.6 billion people around the world who have no on-off switch in their lives because they are not connected to an electric grid. Let's not forget that 1 out of 4 people on the planet do not have regular grid electricity. And to be energy poor in a world that's hot, flat, and crowded, which means you will not have the energy to dig a deeper well when the hots get hotter. You will not have the energy to turn on a fan. You will not have the energy, most importantly, to get to Google, which means you will not be able to connect to all the world's knowledge. In a world that's hot, flat, and crowded, being energy poor will be devastating. And the fifth megatrend is biodiversity loss, the fact that we are in the midst of a massive extinction of biodiversity akin to when the meteorite, basically, or asteroid wiped out the dinosaurs. According to Conservation International, one new species now goes extinct every 20 minutes. Now you put those five together: energy and natural resource supply and demand, petrodictatorship, climate change, biodiversity loss, and energy poverty. And there's two ways to look at that list. One way is to look at it the way I think a lot of us want to look at it, or lapse into looking at it, and that's to look at that list and say we're cooked. We're completely fried. We are toast. Let's party. Okay? That's one way to look at that list. I look at it the way John Gardner looked at a similar list, and he said that's a list of incredible opportunities masquerading as insoluble problems.